Hello, my name is Kevin. My last name is very long, so you can call me KZ. For some of you, you know about Filecoin Plus. This will be a broad overview of Filecoin Plus. So for those of you who know nothing, this is a very good understanding of some of the core concepts. And this afternoon, I'm going to talk about some of the technical, how to apply, how to understand notaries, how to understand communication. That will come later. This is just a broad overview this morning. And hopefully, if there's some time, we can ask questions. So today, I just want to give, again, a broad overview, talk about some different paths to data cap, some recent data cap statistics, and then also our roadmap that we have for Filecoin Plus. So I work for Protocol Labs, but I also work on a Filecoin Plus team specifically. So I'm happy to talk more about that. Okay, the background. So after Filecoin was started, Filecoin Plus was introduced 3 years ago as a way to incentivize productive use of the network. So we wanted people to start using the system, and this became a way for them to find real data, verified data, through a process of social trust. Because if you understand Filecoin, it's decentralized, trustless network. Someone can have data, someone can store data. But Filecoin Plus, we need to introduce a layer of social trust. So we need to know a little bit more about who the person is storing the data, what their data is, where they're located. And this helps us build some trust for them so they can receive data cap. Now with the data cap, the clients can go and find storage providers and say, if you store my data, that is verified data, you will get 10x reward for your quality adjusted power. So this is the core concept. Clients have verified data that notaries will review and approve, and then they can go give to and incentivize storage providers to store the data. So this is helping to build and grow the network at scale over the past 3 years. This slide, I wanted to talk quickly about the goals and ideals for Filecoin Plus, because it's important to understand when you get involved in Filecoin Plus, there's so much going on that sometimes you question, why is it like this? Or why are we doing this? But let me quickly talk about some of the core goals when the system was designed. First of all, decentralization, right? This is a key part, and diversity. So when you hear notaries or community members talking about storing data in different locations. So we have storage providers in China, in Singapore, in Europe, in USA. And we want to store the data all over the world to make sure that it is safe, that if something happens in one region, the data is still alive in another region. And we talk about the different types of data. This is what Filecoin Plus wanted for this community. Transparency. Everything that happens on Filecoin Plus is transparent and visible online. We use a tool called GitHub. So if you are applying for data cap, the application is on GitHub. Everything is available for everyone. All of the information from the notaries approving the data cap is available. So we wanted the system to be totally transparent and have accountability for anyone to see and to talk about. There's governance within the community. So Filecoin is a rather large community now. It's growing, and everyone in this room is now, if you're not already, you are a part of the community, and you should feel the ability to ask questions, to challenge something that's happening, to recommend ideas or changes to happen. This is your community. This is not Protocol Labs. This is for everyone in the Filecoin community to make decisions based on their operations based on their business, based on ideas they have. So the best ways to get involved, we have community Slack channels. We use Filecoin Slack. We have bi-weekly calls for governance team. There are also many calls for storage providers specifically. There's regional calls for each storage provider group. So you have a voice and you should be participating and expressing your concerns, your ideas and interests. And the last goal is this idea, as I mentioned, this is a social trust mechanism, Filecoin Plus. So you start out at basically zero. You enter the network, no one knows who you are. You have to build trust. So if you are a new applicant, you have to explain a little bit more about who you are, who you're working with. And as you start to store data, or you're an SP and you are storing data, you will start to build a reputation. And this becomes very important when you work with other SPs, when you work with notaries. When they start to know your name, basically just your GitHub name, but when you talk to people more in Slack, and you start to build a reputation. And this becomes very important. Okay, this is hard to see, sorry, but just to quickly talk about the roles and responsibilities of the entire system. Again, this is a very broad overview. So quickly to go through, we have first of all the governance team. I'm one of the members. There's 7 people that are just in charge of helping with operations, with making sure we have the right processes in place, rules in place for the system to work. So starting from the left to the right in the orange, root key holder. The only thing you really need to know about root key holder is that they provide the data cap that is used in the network. So they are the main source for approving data cap allowances. And they give data cap to notaries. Now notaries are very important to understand. Notaries are selected as basically the fiduciary of the network. Their responsibility is to ensure the clients are of good value of the data and their role within the community. And they provide the data cap for them. So right now we have around, I think, 50 active notaries from all over the world, notaries from every region. So we have elections. We've had 3 or 4 different election cycles where anyone can apply, any of you can apply to become a notary. You just have to talk about how you will be involved, how often you can be involved, because it's a voluntary position, and how you will do due diligence for the community and those types of things. So this is a very important role that takes the data cap and approves applications from clients. Clients are the people with the data. So we have many different types of clients, but let's just say that they are the data owner. Someone has data they want to store. This is the person that's applying for data cap. And then once they are awarded data cap, they talk to miner or storage provider. And they say, hey, I have data cap, I have this data, I need you to store a copy here, I want to store a copy here. You know, the clients have potentially many requirements. They might have security requirements, they might have requirements to store data in different locations, different amounts of copies and replicas. So storage providers will work with clients to meet the requirements, and then they receive this reward for storing the data. Okay, so how Filecoin Plus works then, I mentioned the different roles, but basically the clients apply, they go to GitHub, they apply for data cap. There's an application with some questions about, you know, what is the data, how large is the data set, what are your requirements for storing the data. You know, they answer a series of questions. And it's important to mention, storage providers can also apply on behalf of clients. So maybe you have a client who doesn't want to be involved in this process at all. They don't care, they just want their data stored. So maybe the storage provider will do this application for them, that's fine. Once the application is complete, the notaries will perform the review. They'll do due diligence to verify. Is this quality data? Is this a client we can trust? These types of things they take into consideration. Depending the size of the application, you might require one or maybe two notaries to say, okay, yes, I approve. Once they approve, there'll be a small allocation of data cap that will be sent to the client address. The client then has the data cap available with their address. They essentially burn the data cap in a deal. When they send the deal to the storage provider, they burn the data cap, and the storage provider receives the data cap. And then they receive the adjustment in the power for their block rewards, more block rewards essentially. So this is the flow of Filecoin Plus. Now this is the one slide I created that's quite new, and it's changing. Again, this program started 3 years ago. Originally, it was for public data sets. That's it. We wanted to start storing the world's most important data on Filecoin. So we were offering people the opportunity to prepare the data and then store the data. But now we have data from many different sizes. So as I mentioned, if you have just a small amount of data, less than 100 KB, you just work with one notary, and they can review your application and approve it. I mentioned we have notaries in every region. So if you are Asian SP, there are many notaries from China, from Korea, a few here actually, and from Singapore, that you can work with them. If they understand your business better, because it's regionally, it's probably easier to understand. Then if you have a much larger data sets, up to 15 petabytes, this used to be 5, but now it's been increased. This requires 2 notaries, each allocation. And now we have just recently a newer process where, and actually this program is using a very large data set and many copies to be stored, which is over, where's Alan? I think it's 100 petabytes. And this requires the E-FIL process. So this was a process we created last year that I helped lead. And on the right, you can see some details. What is E-FIL? Basically, if you want to store this much data, you need to tell us a lot more information so we can trust your application. Because let me give you a hypothetical scenario. You are brand new to Filecoin Network. You come to Filecoin Plus, you apply, you say, hi, I need 100 petabytes of data cap, thank you. And that's it. The notaries will say, you have to tell me more. We can't give you this much data cap. We don't know who you are, we don't know where you are. So now we have some processes in place that require third-party checks for the client, identity check, to say who you are behind the GitHub identity. Business check, to prove that the data is coming from a real business that exists somewhere in the world. Proof of the data set. You might say that you have a 5 petabyte data set. That's a huge data set. Okay, can you prove the size to the notaries? And then the SPs involved. Where are they located? Which are their IDs? Because this becomes potentially part of abuse in this system, but by sharing as much information as you can about your project, it becomes easier for the notaries to understand and to support your project. So that's E-FIL Plus. It's just essentially more checks upfront. And then finally, the data set type. Different pathways. Again, when Filecoin Plus started 3 years ago, it was just public open data sets. Data sets from Amazon that were available that we want to never lose. We want to store on Filecoin. But we also have now we call public open commercial. So these are companies that have data that is available for anyone to see. They just want to store it on Filecoin. So they can apply as well. There are many examples now on GitHub. You can go and look and see many different examples. And then we also have now private data. This year we started a new process with E-FIL Plus, mostly the idea was for enterprise. We were focused on enterprise customers. And most of enterprise customer data is private, encrypted. very, very large data sets. So this is where we started E-FIL. E-FIL stands for Enterprise FIL. And we started the process for private data. Okay, just a few more slides. One other thing to know about Filecoin Plus is there's a lot of information available online. Everything I'm talking about is available, but I'm just giving you two examples so you can stay up to date with what is happening. This first chart from the top is from a dashboard called datacapstats.io. And here you can see information about all the amount of data cap that's been given. Here, the average time it takes to get data cap, to get approval, right now is 3 days. The number of active notaries in the last 2 weeks, 47. And if you go to this site, there's a lot of information about every client, application, every notary, statistics, many statistics. And then the second chart below is from Starboard, which actually after me, Sylvan is going to be talking about. But this is just one example of a deals chart. So this is showing the active deals on Filecoin since March. And you can see it's growing, and you can see all the deals are green. This is all Filecoin Plus. All the deals are Filecoin Plus right now on the network. And you can see all of this. And if this is changing, if it starts going back to regular deals in blue, you would see this on the charts in real time. Yeah, so please take a look at some of these different resources so you can understand how things are growing and changing throughout. This is a very involved system that requires a lot of attention and understanding because things are constantly evolving, changing, growing. Again, just at a high level of the FIL Plus program, just so you understand where we started and where things have changed. I don't want to talk about most of these, but again, in 2000, we launched the program. And this was much smaller in size. We were giving much smaller amounts of data cap. We're just getting started to understand the clients involved and the processes. And then in 2001, it was becoming growth. We were starting to scale to different regions, onboarding more notaries that could support more application reviews, different use cases. And then last year, we really took off. If you look at the growth charts, Filecoin Plus was in crazy growth mode. And so we were scaling last year. We went to over 250 petabytes in verified deals. And now we are shifting focus a little bit because the scale was immense and it was hard to know everything was happening on the network. So this year we've changed the goal and focus a little bit, and we're calling it the quality phase. And basically this means we want to have 100% of valid types of clients with a path to data cap, which I explained the different paths. We want to make sure everyone has a chance to store their valuable data. And we want to make sure that the data is allocated to quality data. There are cases of abuse and people using the system just to receive data cap. And the goal now is to really focus on making sure that people with real data and real use cases are getting data cap. So the visibility is there now. We have more information from the Filecoin Plus team, what we're working on. On this website here, you can go and you can read about the different initiatives that we have focused on right now in 2023. We're really focused on minimizing abuse in the system, making sure notaries are doing proper due diligence, making sure any disputes within the ecosystem are being actioned on, making sure there's pathways for all the clients that are looking to receive data cap, and making sure that changes are happening more rapidly. Yeah.